So today, please keep your attention for this part. This is very important. This is very important part. So when we consider ionic strength, today we need two methods. The first one is electronegativity difference. First one is electronegativity difference. Then second one is Fajar's rule. Second one is Fajar's rule. First one is the electronegativity difference. Second one is Fajar's rule. So when we consider these two, let's consider first one. Put the topic variation of ionic strength. Then put the first subtopic electronegativity difference. Electronegativity difference. First subtopic is electronegativity difference. Electronegativity difference. So when we consider electronegativity difference of two molecules or two atoms of a molecule, we know that if the electronegativity difference is greater than 1.7, if the electronegativity difference is greater than 1.7, it is an ionic compound. It is an ionic compound. So I have already stated this in the last video also. So if you consider in your all syllabuses, if we consider the electronegativity difference between two atoms is greater than 2.1, it is ionic compound. It was according to your last syllabus, your previous syllabus. So in your new syllabus, it is stated that electronegativity difference should be greater than 1.7 for an ionic compound to be show ionic properties. So when electronegativity difference becomes greater, ionic properties becomes greater. Ionic properties increases. Ionic properties increases. So first one is the first one of variation of ionic strength is we have to consider the electronegativity difference. So you put the topic, you have put the topic electronegativity difference right below. If the electronegativity difference between two atoms is greater than 1.7, is greater than 1.7, those compounds are called as ionic compounds. Those compounds are called as ionic compounds. Those compounds are called as ionic compounds. Then put another mark with a color pen and write. Put a mark with a color pen and write. When electronegativity difference increases, when electronegativity difference increases, ionic properties Ionic properties also increase. Ionic properties also increase. Ionic properties also increase. But the next one is the most important one. Next one is the most important one. So second one is according to Fajan's rule. Fajan's rule. We call this as Fajan's rule or Fajan's rule. There are so many names in many books. So put the topic second one. This is the most important one. According to Fajan's rule. According to Fajan's rule or Fajan's rule. Okay, now we are going to talk about two new terms called polarizability and polarizing power. Polarizing power and polarizability. Polarizability and polarizing power. Pute, before explaining this one, let's consider some molecules. I am going to consider some molecules like lithium chloride, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, rubidium chloride. So Pute, now we can see the anion is same and cation varies downwards. Cation varies downwards. Pute, we know that when along the downwards group, radius of cations increases. Downwards the group, radius of cations increases, and today also anions also increases. For downwards group, radius of anions increases. So, if we consider polarizing power and polarizability, we say that if the charge of the cation increases, if the charge of the cation increases and the radius decreases, polarizing power increases. Pute, polarizing power increases. Don't think the meaning of these words. Just understand this one. Pute. When the charge of the cation increases and radius decreases, polarizing power increases. Pute. When the charge of the cation increases and the radius decreases, polarizing power increases. Then Pute, if we consider if the charge of the anion and the radius, both charge of the anion and the radius increases, polarizability increases. Polarizability increases. Pute. So Pute, polarizing power and polarizability are connected in a relationship. So if the charge of positive ion increases, radius decreases. Okay, when the charge of cation increases and the radius decreases, polarizing power increases. Then if the charge of the negative ion and the radius increases, polarizability increases. Polarizability increases. So Pute, this polarizing power and polarizability means this. So if we consider a cation and an anion, if we consider a cation and an anion, the cation has the ability to attract the electron cloud of the anion. So this cation tries to attract this cloud towards him. Cation tries to attract the electron cloud of anion towards the cation. This phenomena is called the polarizing power and the polarizability. So, cation has the polarizing power, that means it has the ability to attract electron clouds. So, the phenomena which the chlorine atom undergoes by attracting its electron cloud is called the polarizability. So now we know that polarizing power increases when the charge of the atom increase and radius decreases. When the charge of the atom increase or the charge of the ion increase and radius decreases, and the polarizability increases when the charge of the negative ion and the radius increases. When the charge of the negative ion and the radius increases, polarizability increases. So I think now you have get some small idea what I have taught you. So then we say that when the polarizability and polarizing power increases, the ionic properties decreases. The ionic properties decreases. The reason for that is ionic properties depend on the electron cloud density. So when this cation attract the cloud of the anion, when the cation attracts the cloud of the anion, the spherical shape of the cloud decreases. So when the spherical shape of the cloud decreases, ionic properties also decreases. So we can say when polarizing power and polarizability increases, so both of them are the reason for ionic properties to be decreased. So the ionic properties will be decreased when polarizing power and the polarizability increases. So what's the reason for decrease in ionic properties? So when polarizing power and polarizability increases, the electron cloud gets a distortion. I think you know the word distortion. So electron cloud is distorted or it forms a distortion. So this cation will attract electrons of the chloride ion. So the ionic properties reduced and covalent properties increases when the polarizability and the polarizing power increases. So let's consider these atoms. If we consider these atoms, which has the highest ionic property? Which has the highest ionic property of all these? So we know that the anion is common for everyone. Anion is common, so we don't have to consider anion. The polarizing power, we have to check polarizing power for cations. We have to check polarizability for anions. So we don't have to check polarizability. We have to check the polarizing power. So we know that when since all the cations contain +1 charge, we don't have to consider the charge also. We have to consider the radius only. So when radius increases downwards, polarizing power decreases. decreases today. That means ionic properties increases. When polarizing power decreases, ionic properties increase. So we can say this rubidium chloride has the highest ionic property. This one has the highest ionic property than this one, then this one, and lithium chloride has the lowest ionic properties today. Why is that? Since it has the highest polarization power. Polarizing power or the polarization power, lithium chloride has the highest polarizing power due to its small radius. Okay, Pute? I think now you are going to realize this step by step. So Pute, let's consider another set of salts like this. If we consider some salts like this, sodium fluoride, sodium bromide, sodium chloride, sodium bromide, sodium iodide, sodium iodide. So if you consider these type of molecules or these type of salts, now we can see there are common salts. There are common salts, common cations. So sodium is common for everyone. Now we have to consider only negative ion. Now we have to consider only negative ion. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. So downwards the group, ionic radius increases. Downwards the group, ionic radius increases. So when the ionic radius increases, we know that polarizability also increases, or the distortion increases. Ability to distort, ability of distortion increases. So since polarizability increases, we know that ionic properties decrease. Ionic properties decreases downwards the group. So now we know that this one has the highest polarizability. This one has the highest polarizability. So this has the lowest ionic properties. This has the lowest ionic properties. So this one has the highest ionic properties than anyone. This one has the highest ionic properties than anyone. Sodium fluoride has the highest ionic properties today. Okay, then now I think you can understand what is this. So Fajan's rule says that when there are two ions, cations and anions, cation try to attract electrons of the anion. Cations try to attract electrons of the anion, and therefore there is a distortion of the electron cloud. There is a distortion of the electron cloud. So this will attract the ion, this will attract the electron cloud, and therefore these molecules or these salts try to show covalent properties rather than showing ionic properties. When polarizability decreases, ionic properties increase. That means these two molecules should be in spherical shape to show qualitative ionic properties. Otherwise, they will show covalent properties when the electron cloud is distorted or it forms a distortion. So, today put the topic, we will write this one, put the topic according to Fajan's rule. According to Fajan's rule. Today draw this picture. Draw this picture. Please draw this picture. Today, right here, distortion. Draw the picture clearly. Now this one. And today, denote this as polarizing power. Polarizing power, and this has polarizability. This has polarizability. This has polarizability. So okay, then write the cation forms a force on the anion and the force is called as polarizing power. Force is called as polarizing power. The force acted on the anion. The force of cation is the polarizing power. Then the force acted on anion is polarizability. The force acted on the anion is polarizability. The force acted on the anion is polarizability. So today I think you have completed note. The force created by the cation is polarizing power, and the force acted on the anion is polarizability. So then write, when polarizing power and the polarizability increases, when polarizing power and the polarizability increases, when polarizing power and the polarizability increases, the spherical shape of these two ions, the spherical shape of the anion, the spherical shape of the anion undergoes a distortion. Therefore, the ionic nature of the compound decreases. Therefore, the ionic nature of the compound decreases. Therefore, the ionic nature of the compound decreases. And the covalent properties or the covalent characteristics increases. The covalent characteristics increases. Okay, Budhe? Then make a table. Polarizing power and polarizability. So this is cation, this is for cation, and this is for anion. So Budhe, make a table. Make a table. This is polarizing power for cation and polarizability for anion. Polarizing power for cation and polarizability for anion. Then today, right here, when charge of cation increases and radius decreases. When charge of cation increases and radius decreases, polarizing power increases and ionic nature decreases. So today, when charge of cation increase and radius decreases, polarizing power increases and ionic nature decreases. Polarizing power increases and ionic nature decreases. Polarizing power increases and ionic nature decreases. When charge of positive ion increases and radius decreases, polarizing power increases and ionic nature decreases. Ionic nature decreases. Then today, write for the polarizability anion. When charge of the anion and radius of the anion increases, when charge of the anion and radius of the anion increases, when charge of the anion and radius of the anion increases, polarizability increases, and ionic nature decreases, Today we will surely get a structured essay question from this part. We will surely get a MCQ and a structured essay question from this part for Jan's rule. So this is a must. You should remember this today. So when charge of the anion and radius increases, polarizability increases and ionic nature decreases. Today there are some special properties depend on ionic nature. So today the special properties depend on ionic properties are, you should remember this today, so you will surely get a question from this part. These are the properties depend on ionic properties. Boiling point, then melting point, then today solubility, decomposition temperature, so these are the properties. So today when ionic nature increases, these properties also increase. When ionic nature increases, these properties also increase. So today we have to remember these properties. So write below. When ionic nature of a compound increases, first one boiling point, melting point, solubility, decomposition temperature. Boiling point, melting point, solubility, decomposition temperature increases. And they write again, when ionic nature increases, covalent characteristics decreases. When ionic nature increases, covalent nature or covalent characteristics decreases. Covalent nature or covalent characteristics decreases. So okay, you should remember these special properties: boiling point, melting point, water solubility, decomposition temperature are depend on ionic nature. When ionic nature increases, all these properties increase, and when covalent nature increases, all these properties decrease, and ionic properties also decrease. So today, let's consider some ionic properties or exam type questions. Let's assume we have been given the question to arrange these. Let's assume so we have been given to arrange these molecules in the ascending order of decomposition temperature or boiling point or water solubility or the ionic nature. Today we can be given any of these property. So first we have to consider the ionic nature according to Fajar's rule. So the anion is common for everyone, so we have to consider the cation. Today we know that when we go downwards the group, we know that the radius increases today. We know that the radius increases. So since radius increases, we know that polarizing power decreases. When radius increases of the cation, polarizing power decreases. Today. So since radius increases, polarizing power decreases, we know that what has happened to ionic nature today? What will be happen to ionic nature? When polarizing power decreases, ionic nature increases. Today. So now we know, since ionic nature increases of these ions downwards group, we can say strontium chloride has the highest ionic characteristics and the ascending order is this. So this has the highest ionic characteristics, then highest melting points, highest boiling points, and highest decomposition temperatures, then highest solubilities. So solubility, boiling point, melting point, decomposition temperature all varies according to this one. Today. So this is an example. Arrange these in the ascending order of decomposition temperature or ascending order of solubility. So they write this example. Arrange these salts in the ascending order of water solubility. Arrange these salts in the ascending order of water solubility. Arrange these salts in the ascending order of water solubility. Of water solubility. So we write these examples. Write these examples and write these atoms. Write these atoms to say quickly. This only, right? Only these atoms, and we write downwards the group, downwards the group, downwards the group. Radius increases of the cations. Radius increases of the cation. Therefore, the polarizing power decreases. Therefore, the polarizing power decreases. Therefore, the polarizing power decreases. And ionic nature increases downwards the group. And ionic nature increases downwards the group. And ionic nature increases downwards the group. Ionic nature increases downwards the group. Ionic nature increases downwards the group. Increases downwards the group. So we then write the order: strontium chloride, calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, then beryllium chloride. Beryllium chloride. Write the order today. Write the order quickly. And to the right, arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling point. Write the salts. So arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling points. Write the salt. Arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling points. So today, now we know that cation is common. So we have to consider the anions. So radius increases downwards. Therefore, polarizability increases and ionic nature decreases. So the salt in the first row has the highest boiling point. So sodium chloride, sodium bromide, and sodium iodide. So this is the ascending order of boiling point. So write the second example. Arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling point. Arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling points. Write the salt. Arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling points. Arrange the salts in the ascending order of boiling point. Then write these salts. Write these salts. Write these salts. And then write these ions. Write these ions. Write these ions. Write these ions. And write by the side of these ions. Downwards the group radius increases. downwards the group radius increases of the anion. Downwards the group radius increases of the anion. Therefore, the polarizability increases and the ionic nature decreases. Therefore, downwards the group ionic nature decreases. So they show this arrangement. Sodium chloride has the highest boiling point. Sodium chloride, sodium bromide and sodium iodide. Please show this arrangement quickly. Please show the arrangement quickly. Okay, please show this. Then put a topic. Properties of ionic compounds. Properties of ionic compounds. Properties of ionic compound. Properties of ionic compound. First one is today formed by large number of anions formed by bonding. So today formed by bonding of large number of anions and cations, formed by bonding of large number of anions and cations which are organized in structural manner which are organized in structural manner. So these compounds are called lattices. Then third one, since these compounds contain plus and minus ions, since these compounds contain plus and minus ions or positive or negative ions, since these compounds contain plus and minus ions. They can conduct electricity. They can conduct electricity. They can conduct electricity. They can conduct electricity. And today, write a special point with another color. Write a special point with another color. Solid ionic compounds will not conduct electricity. Solid ionic compounds will not conduct electricity. Solid ionic compounds will not conduct electricity. Since the ions inside the lattice cannot move. Since the ions inside the lattice cannot move. Since the ions inside the lattice cannot move. But ionic compounds in aqueous solutions, and fused solutions. Today, what's the meaning of fused? That means we will liquefy the ionic compound without dissolving it in water. So we can heat an ionic compound and we can liquefy it easily. So when we liquefy an ionic compound, we call that as fused solution. And fused solutions can conduct electricity. Only solid ionic compounds cannot conduct electricity, but fused solutions and aqueous solutions can conduct electricity. Then the next one is they have higher boiling points and melting points. They have higher boiling points and melting points. The ionic compounds have higher boiling points and melting points. They have higher melting points and boiling points. They have higher melting points and boiling points. For the next one, they dissolve in polar solvents. 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 Okay, these are the properties of ionic compounds. These are the properties of ionic compounds. So, most of the times ionic compounds are formed by bonding of metals and non-metals. By metals, bonding of metals and non-metals. So, there is one compound which does not form ionic compound. Beryllium chloride is not ionic today, it is covalent. You should remember that. Put another mark and write beryllium chloride is not an ionic compound. Beryllium chloride is not an ionic compound. It's a special point today. Beryllium chloride is not an ionic compound. Beryllium chloride is not an ionic compound. It's a special point today, you have to remember that. And there are some ionic compounds without metals, like ammonium chloride, then ammonium sulfate. So if we consider these salts, they don't contain any metals, they contain only non-metals. Write another point. There are some ionic compounds. Formed only from non-metals. Formed only from non-metals. Example, write these. So ammonium chloride is a non-metallic ionic compound, ammonium sulfate. Likewise, there are some non-metallic ionic compounds. So that's all for ionic bonds. So far we have discussed about covalent bonds and ionic bonds. Okay, let's start metallic bonds. So third primary interaction is metallic bonds. So when we consider metallic bonds, we know that metallic bonds are formed inside the metals. So when we try to understand this phenomena, we know that normally, if we consider a metal, we know that normally the outermost electron of metals are very loosely bonded to the nucleus. So they tend to remove this electron. And form cations. So since these atoms tend to remove electrons and form cations, inside a metal, there are cations. And a pool of electron. So if we consider any metal, we can observe that there is a pool of electron inside the metal, and there are a lot of cations inside this pool. So when we consider this phenomena, since there are positive and negative ions, electrostatic charges are formed there. Electrostatic charges can be formed in between positive and negative ions. So these electrostatic charges between positive and negative ions are called metallic bonds. These are called metallic bonds. So the charges, the forces between these positive and negative ions are called metallic bonds. Okay, so since there is an electron pool inside metals can conduct electricity and heat energy or energy very comfortably or very easily. They can conduct electricity. So you should remember that since metals contain a pool of electrons, they can conduct electricity very easily. They can conduct electricity very easily. Okay, Pute? So put the topic metallic bonds. Put the topic metallic bonds. And write Pute, write. Since electrons present in a valence shell are very loosely bonded to the nucleus of the atom they tend to form cations by removing electrons. Therefore, a pool of electron is formed inside metals. The electrostatic charge formed between these positive and negative ions behaves as a bond. These bonds are called metallic bonds. Okay, Pute? Please draw this. Draw this one and this one quickly, Pute. So this is a piece of sodium metal. So Please draw this one. This is not ionization reaction Pute. This is in solid state. Please draw this and draw this. So these are electron pool of electrons. So draw this quickly Pute. Draw this quickly. Okay, Pute. Then put a topic, strength of metallic bonds. Strength of metallic bonds. Put a topic, Pute, strength of metallic bonds. Strength of metallic bonds. Okay, Pute. So there are two factors affecting the strength of the metallic bonds. Pute, the first one is radius. So when radius decreases, metallic bond strength increases. Pute, when radius decreases, metallic bond strength increases. Pute. Then the second one is electron pool density, or the density of the electron pool. Density of electron pool. So when density of electron pool is high, then the strength of metallic bond is very high. The strength of metallic bond is very high. So put a topic, strength of metallic bonds. Put a topic, strength of metallic bonds. Quickly put a topic to the strength of metallic bonds. Strength of metallic bonds. Write the first factor. The first factor. First one is radius. First one is radius. Then write, when radius decreases, when radius decreases, when radius decreases, when radius decreases, metallic bond strength increases. Metallic bond strength increases. When radius decreases, metallic bond strength increases. Metallic bond strength increases. Put the second one. Put the second one. Density of the electron pool. Density of the electron pool. Put the second one, density of the electron pool. Density of the electron pool. Put the right for the point. When the density of the electron pool increases, when the density of the electron pool increases, when the density of the electron pool increases, metallic bond strength increases. Metallic bond strength increases. Metallic bond strength increases. Metallic bond strength increases. Okay, Pute, metallic bond strength increases. metallic bond strength increases. Okay, write another very important fact using a color pen. If you have a color pen, write this fact using a color pen. When metallic bond strength increases, when metallic bond strength increases, when metallic bond strength increases, these facts will be increased automatically. So the facts are melting point of the metal, melting point. Then second one is boiling point. Then boiling point. So okay, write this important fact. When metallic bond strength increases, and third one is density increases. So both these three facts, these 3 points increases with the metallic bond strength. So write this one. When metallic bond strength increases, when metallic bond strength increases, when metallic bond strength increases, okay, when metallic bond strength increases, when metallic bond strength increases, melting point increase, boiling point increase, density increases. Melting point increases, boiling point increases, and density increases. Melting point, boiling point, and density. Melting point increases, boiling point increases, and density increases. Okay, this is the density of the metal, not the density of the pool. This is called this is the density of the metal. So you should remember that this is the density of the metal. Okay, so let's write some properties of metals. I think you have already known this from your O-levels. Properties of metals. So properties of metals. Write the first property. High electrical conductivity. High electrical conductivity. High electrical conductivity. High electrical conductivity due to pool of electrons. High electrical conductivity due to pool of electrons. Due to pool of electrons. High electrical conductivity due to pool of electrons. Okay, first one is high electrical conductivity due to pool of electrons. Then the second one, high heat conductivity. High heat conductivity. High heat conductivity due to kinetic energy of electrons. Due to kinetic energy of electrons. High heat conductivity due to kinetic energy of electrons. Due to kinetic energy of electrons. Due to kinetic energy of electrons. Third one, high melting point and boiling point. 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 due to lattice strength. Due to lattice strength. What are lattices? What are lattices? Due to lattice strength. High melting point and boiling point due to lattice strength. Due to lattice strength. So what are lattices? What are lattices? In metals, we know that there is a pattern of electron. Here there is a pattern of electron and positive ions. So we call this as a lattice. We call this as a lattice. We have to talk about lattices in this second unit today. We have to talk about lattices in this second unit. So in metals there are lattices. Lattices meaning today it's a unique pattern of arrangement of the ions. It's a unique pattern of arrangement of the ions. Since there is a unique pattern, the metallic bond strength are very high today. Metallic bond strength are very high. So metals have high melting points and boiling points. Normally metals have high melting points and boiling points today. Okay, then fourth one is shiny surfaces. Shiny surfaces. Shiny surfaces. Fourth one is shiny surfaces. All metals are shiny like that. Shiny surfaces. Write quickly with it. Shiny surfaces. So the next one is ductile or ductility. Ductile or ductility. Ductility means we can give a force to undergo deformation without breaking. We can deform a metal without breaking. That property is called the ductility. 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 I think today you have known this from your O-levels. Ductility means undergo deformation without breaking. Undergo deformation without breaking. Then put a sixth one. Sixth one. React with acids. React with acids. Reacts with acid. Reacts with acids to release hydrogen. To release hydrogen. Reacts with acids to release hydrogen. Reacts with acids to release hydrogen. To release hydrogen. Put within brackets, write within brackets, not all the metals react with acids to release hydrogen. Only metals of reactivity series upper than copper will react with acids to release hydrogen. Within brackets write, only the metals before copper in the reactivity series please make before hydrogen, please erase copper, make that as before hydrogen. Only metals before hydrogen in the reactivity series release hydrogen with acids. release hydrogen with acids. Release hydrogen with acids. Release hydrogen with acids. So the sentence should be corrected as like this. Only within brackets, only the metals before hydrogen in the reactivity series reacts with acid to release hydrogen. React with acid to release hydrogen. Okay, Mute? So Mute, these are the properties of metals. And Mute, the first part of this unit, the second unit is over now. So we have discussed about the primary interactions. Next, we have to go to bond shapes. Next, we have to study bond shapes. Next, we have to discuss bond shapes. Bond shapes. So, before discuss bond shapes, we have to know some bond structures, bond drawing patterns, or what are the structure types. We have to know these theories or these methods. So, we can draw structures only for covalent compounds or covalent bonds. So we can draw bond shapes only for covalent bonds. So there are three types of structures today. First one is Lewis structures, and this is the most easy and most usable one in our syllabus. Then Lewis dot structures, then Lewis dot cross structures, Lewis dot cross structures, Lewis structures, Lewis dot structures, Lewis dot cross structures. So today Lewis structure is like that, like this. So if we need to draw a molecule using lines for the bonds and dots for unpaired electrons. Let's see what are unpaired electrons today. So this is a Lewis structure. Then Lewis dot structure is if we draw all the structures using dots. So then these are Lewis dot structures. Then today Lewis dot cross structures mean if we draw the electrons of single atom using dots and the other atoms using crosses. So these are Lewis dot cross structures. So then for advanced levels, for the first structured equation, we need this one, Lewis structures. And sometimes these are also asked for the question paper, but this question is asked for every question paper in every year. So let's try to understand what are Lewis structures. Let's write this one, and after writing this one, we'll discuss about drawing Lewis structures. Put a topic bond shapes. The topic is bond shapes, and write today. Bond shapes are drawn only for covalent compounds. Covalent compounds. Covalent compounds. And the bonds are drawn, using three patterns. Using three patterns of the structures. Using three patterns of structures. First one is Lewis structures. First one is Lewis structures. Lewis structures. Second one is Lewis dot structures. Second one is Lewis dot structures. Then third one is Lewis dot cross structures. Lewis dot cross structures. Third one is Lewis dot cross structures. Lewis dot cross structures. Lewis dot cross structures. And today put the topic Lewis structures. Lewis structures. Topic is Lewis structures. Lewis structures. Lewis structures. Okay, let's consider the molecule of H2O. Let's start with the molecule of H2O. So, this is the skeleton of the molecule. Okay, the central atom should be the most electropositive atom or the least electronegative atom. Central atom should be the most electropositive or least electronegative atom. Then for that, I have selected oxygen. I had to select hydrogen atom. So why did I select oxygen atom? Today we should select the most electropositive atom, but today it should have the ability to, it should be able to form more than one bond. Today, although the electronegativity of hydrogen is very low, it can only form one bond. That's why we haven't made it as central atom. So we made oxygen as the central atom. Okay, okay. Then we have to consider the valence electrons or the number of electrons in the valence shell. Number of electrons in the last shell or the valence shell. So then how to identify the number of electrons in the valence shell? To identify electrons, we have to consider valency. Can you remember the valencies today? So these are the valency. Valency of first, so these are groups, first, second, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 group. So the valencies are, the valency of first group is 1, then that means the first group element can form only one bond. Then the valency of second group is 2. Then valency of 13 group is 3. 14 group is 4. Valency of 15 group is 5. 16 group is 6. 17th group is 7, and 18th group is 8. Okay, what's the meaning of valency? Valency is the number of bonds that an atom tries to form. Valency is the number of bonds that an atom tries to form. Valency is the number of bonds that an atom tries to form. Okay, Pute? So, from using this chart, you have to remember these valencies. It's very easy. So, first group has 1, second group 2, 13th group 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, those are the electrons of the last electron shell, or those are the number of bonds that an atom tries to form. So, when we try to find the valency of oxygen, it's in 16th group, that means it has 6 electrons. So, this oxygen shares 2 electrons here and here to form these covalent bonds. So, since it shares 2 electrons for these bonds, then how many electrons does it contain? It has 6 electrons. It donates or it shares 2 electrons, then it has 4 electrons. We denote electrons using dots. It contains 4 electrons. So the hydrogen has 1 electron, it shares here. This hydrogen has 1 electron, it shares here. So this is the electron of hydrogen. Okay, Pute? Then this is the electron of oxygen. Then we call these lone electrons as lone pairs of electrons. These are lone pairs of electrons today. So these are lone pairs of electrons. And today this single bond is a sigma bond. I think you can remember covalent bonds are named as sigma bonds or phi bonds. So this is a sigma bond. This is a sigma bond today. Okay, Pute? I think now you got an idea how to draw a Lewis structure. Let's draw many Lewis structures and let's try Lewis structures today. So, put the topic Lewis structure, Lewis structures. Please write this valence table. Valence table. This is the valence table. Please draw this valence table. This is groups. This is groups. First row is groups. Second row is valency. Or that means number of bonds that an atom tries to form. Number of bonds that an atom tries to form. Number of bonds that an atom tries to form is the valency. Okay, Pute? Please write the valence table as soon as possible. Write this on quickly. Valence table, write valence table quickly. Okay, Pute? Please write this quickly and draw this structure and name these part electrons with it. This is the electron of hydrogen atom. This is the electron of hydrogen atom. Then this is the electron of oxygen atom. And these are lone pairs of oxygen. And this is a sigma bond. Please name all these with the electron of hydrogen atom, electron of oxygen atom, lone pairs and sigma bond. Lone pairs and sigma bond. Please write this quickly today. Write this quickly. Okay, Pute. I think we have completed drawing the structure quickly. So then let's try to draw some structures before completing the tube. Take the there's a tube inside your tube, chemical bonds. Turns to page 7 and question number 12. Page 7 of chemical bonds tube. That means these are questions and question number 12. Question number is 12. But there are a lot of molecules. So we are going to draw these. So first look at some molecules. Then you should stop the video and try all these molecules. And after that, again see the video. Okay, Pute? First look at these examples. I'm going to draw now. Then watch, stop the video. Then draw by yourself all these molecules in the 12th question. And after that, check these molecules with your ones. Okay, Pute? So I'm going to draw the second one, CCl4. So then the middle atom should be C. So this is the skeleton. Now we know that carbon has the valency of 4, chlorine has the valency of 7. That means carbon has 4 electrons in the last shell and chlorine has 7 electrons in the last outermost shell. So now I am trying to draw this. So carbon has 4 electrons here. Here 1, 2, 3 and 4. Carbon has 4 electrons. Then it's drawn here. Then when we consider chlorine has 7 electrons. That means chlorine shares 1 electron. Then how many electrons are remaining on chlorine? There should be 6 electrons. So 1 is here. Then other 6 should be placed like this. Okay, Pute? Do you understand? So there are 7 electrons on chlorine. So 1 is shared here. Then there are another 6 electrons here. Okay, Pute? So then when we consider these electrons, okay, Pute? So this is the complete Lewis structure of CCl4. Please draw this, Pute, on your book. You have to draw all the structures on your book. Okay, then let's try to draw BeCl2. Beryllium is the middle atom. So beryllium is in the second group. That means beryllium has 2 electrons. These 2 electrons are shared for chlorine. Now the number of electrons of beryllium is completed now. Then when we consider chlorine, chlorine has 7 electrons. One is shared. Then there are 6 electrons. And this chlorine also has 6 electrons since one is shared here. Since one is shared here. Okay, Pute? So let's try to draw PCl3. Sorry, let's try to draw PCl3. So I am going to draw PCl3. So we know that phosphorus is in, what is the group number of phosphorus today? Phosphorus is in 15th group. Phosphorus is in 15th group. That means today phosphorus has 5 electrons in the outermost shell. Phosphorus has 5 electrons in the outermost shell. So today 3 are shared here. 3 electrons are shared here. So phosphorus should have 2 remaining electrons. That means 1 lone pair for phosphorus. Then again when we consider chlorine, chlorine has 7 electrons. 1 is shared and it contains 6 remaining electrons. It contains 6 remaining electrons. Okay, Pute? Then let's try to draw SF6. SF6. You have to complete this one. Pute, these are very simple forms of molecules. We will get very complex molecules for advanced levels. Okay, Pute, we will get very advanced and complex molecules for advanced levels. Question papers. So let's try to draw the SF6. But don't worry about the structure of these molecules. Don't worry about the structures of these molecules. Just draw any shape. We'll learn shapes of real shapes of molecules after completing completion of the drawing these molecules. So we know that sulfur is in the 16th group. That means it has 6 valence electrons. So sulfur has 6 valence electrons. So there are 6 electrons around. There are 6 electrons around. Then the total number of sulfur electrons are completed. Then we have to draw number of electrons of fluorine. We know that fluorine is in the 17th group. Fluorine is in the 17th group. That means fluorine has 1 electron here. Fluorine has 1 electron here. And there are another 6 electrons around. There are another 6 electrons around in every atom. Okay, there are 6 electrons around every fluorine atom. Around every fluorine atom. Around every fluorine atom. Okay, Pute, please complete the structure. Then Pute, you have to remember this one. So if you need to draw a stable structure, you should fill these number of bonds to these special atoms. Okay, Pute, you should fill special number of bonds to these special atoms. So you should draw 3 bonds to nitrogen atom. You have to draw 3 bonds to nitrogen atom. You cannot draw more than 3 bonds for nitrogen atom. You cannot draw more than 3 bonds for nitrogen atom. Then today you have to draw 2 bonds for oxygen atom. You have to draw 2 bonds for oxygen atom. Then for hydrogen and fluorine, 1 bond. For hydrogen and fluorine, you should draw 1 bond. For hydrogen and fluorine, you should draw 1 bond. Pute. You should draw 1 bond. Okay, Pute? So then let's try to complete the structure of SO2. Let's try to complete the structure of SO2. Pute, please denote this using a color pen. Please use a color pen to denote this one. Please use a color pen to denote this one. Pute, write using a color pen. These number of bonds should be drawn for the Lewis structure to be stable. 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 So today, write using another color pen the number of maximum bonds. Nitrogen can contain maximum 3 bonds. Or nitrogen should contain 3 bonds. Oxygen should contain 2 bonds. Hydrogen and fluorine contain 1 bond. Nitrogen contains 3 bonds. Then oxygen 2 bonds. Hydrogen and fluorine 1 bond. Okay, Pute? So then let's try to draw the structure of SO2. Pute, first you have to draw the skeleton. So I'll draw the skeleton as SO. So this is the skeleton. But now we know oxygen should contain 2 bonds. Or there should be 2 bonds for oxygen. There should be 2 bonds for oxygen. There should be 2 bonds for oxygen. So today, if we consider the bonds of oxygen, so we have to complete 2 bonds for each oxygen atom. We have to complete 2 bonds for each oxygen atom. Now the number of oxygen bonds are completed. So today we know that oxygen has 6 electrons, 2 are shared, so it contains another 4 electrons. Today look at these electrons. Look at these electrons. There are 8 repulsion units. There are 8 repulsion units. So today, what are repulsion units? The number of sigma bonds plus lone electron pairs are called repulsion units. So here there are only 6 repulsion units, not 8 repulsion units. There are only 6 repulsion units. So when we consider the total number of electrons of oxygen, it has 8 electrons. How is that today? This one 2. There are 2 electrons. Here there are 2 electrons, and there are 2 electrons. So the octet rule of oxygen is completed here. Octet rule is fulfilled. That means oxygen has 8 electrons. And today this sulfur, it also has 8 electrons, but today the total number of electrons is not completed here. Today we know that sulfur is in the 6th group, 16th group. That means there are 6 electrons in the outermost shell. So today, now we can see there are 4 electrons. So we have to draw another 2 electrons. So today, the total number of electrons of sulfur exceeds the octet rule. That means it's also stable. Today, for an atom to be stable, there should be electrons more than or equal to octet number. More than or equal to octet number. That means there should be 8 electrons, at least 8 electrons. So now we have to complete the oxygen. So there are 2 electrons. So it should contain another 2 lone pairs of 4 electrons. Okay, Pute? 4 electrons of another 2 lone pairs. Okay. Pute, I think now you got an idea about drawing the shapes of molecules. Pute, please write this one. Put in a point, write this one. The number of sigma bonds plus number of lone pairs, number of lone electron pairs are equal to repulsion units. Number of sigma bonds plus number of lone electron pairs are called repulsion units. They are called the repulsion units. Please denote this one. The number of sigma bonds plus number of lone electron pairs equal to repulsion unit. Repulsion unit. Today there is a very correct theory to draw these molecules. But today, if I teach you that theory first, you will not surely understand the lesson and you will unable to draw any structure. You will be unable to draw any structure. So first try to draw these structures using a short method. Then after, when you are very clever at drawing these structures, let's study the real theory after that. Okay, I think you have noted the number of sigma bonds plus number of lone electron pairs are equal to repulsion units. Okay, today please draw this structure of SO2 quickly. Draw on your own. Okay, but then draw quickly. So today, let's try to draw the structure of COCl2. Let's try to draw the structure of COCl2, 25th molecule, COCl2. First, you should try before watching the video. So, if you need to draw COCl2, we have to draw a skeleton. But we have to take the most electropositive atom. Most electropositive atom is carbon. And there are oxygen and chlorine. So today we know that we have to draw 2 bonds for oxygen always. So we have to complete this using double bond. Then oxygen has 6 electrons, 2 are shared. Then today there are remaining 4 electrons. Then today we know that carbon has 4 electrons. So the number of octet rule of carbon is fulfilled now. Octet rule of carbon is fulfilled. Then when we consider chlorine has 7 electrons. So the one is shared, so it contains 3 lone pairs. 3 lone pairs, that means 6 lone electrons. So this chlorine also has 3 lone pairs, that means 6 electrons. So when we consider the molecule, it's stable now. Why is the molecule stable? But every atom has 8 electrons. So when we consider chlorine, 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Then when we consider carbon, 2, 4, 6, 8. Then oxygen, 2, 4, 6, 8. Every atom has at least 8 electrons fulfilled in this structure. So it's a stable structure. So let's draw the last one. You have to draw all others for homework. Let's try to draw 28 F4XCO. F4XPO. F4XEO. So the most electropositive atom is, which is the most electropositive atom today? Oxygen is the most electropositive atom. Why is that today? Why is oxygen is the most electropositive atom? Sorry, Xenon is the most electropositive atom. Why is that? Xenon is a noble gas. So noble gas doesn't try to make bonds. So they have the lowest electron negativity values. So we have to take xenon as the central atom. Then we have to make a skeleton. Don't worry about the shape today. You can draw it any way which you like. Okay. So this is skeleton. Now we have to complete the number of bonds. Today we know that fluorine has only one bond, so it's correct. But oxygen should have double bonds, so we make double bond. And today now we have to draw the structures or the lone pairs. So the oxygen has 2 lone pairs, since it is in the 16th group. And therefore fluorine, it has 3 lone pairs. And when we consider xenon is in the 18th group, that means it has 8 electrons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should contain 2 lone pairs. So xenon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But when we consider total shared electrons, xenon has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Xenon has 14 electrons in its last shell. But it's a stable structure. This is a stable structure. Okay. So today we have studied to draw these molecules F4XC0. Okay. So we have studied to draw these molecules. Today your homework is, please complete this one, and you have to try all the molecules in this tube. The pages which I stated here, you have to complete all the structures of 12th question. This is chemical bond part, 12th question, page number 7. Then you have to complete all the questions in the first one. First one, second one, third, fourth, and fifth one. Okay, all these are the homework. Okay, you should try to understand the lesson. I think it's very complicated, but you should understand the lesson and you should be able to draw any shape of molecule. So this is we get 5 marks from the structure, they say 5 out of 100, and we will get 3 MCQs from this part. So it is nearly 8 marks. 8 or 10 marks nearly we will get for advanced level from this part. So today your homework is to complete all these questions in the bond tube. So next week we will discuss all these structures and I will teach you the correct theory of drawing this one. This is just an experiment to make you understand about drawing these molecules easily without any theory. Okay, Bhute? So it's enough for today. So you have to study your lessons well and complete all the questions on the tube and on the past paper books. So Bhute, work hard, complete all your notes before class, physical class starts, and Bhute, complete all the questions on the tube. Work hard. Okay, Bhute, see you next week.